Welcome back to A Walk Through the Ages. I'm Pastor Bobby Harris.
I'm Mark Phillips.
Mark, it's nice to see you today.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Actually, we get to start off the new chapter with, and this chapter is creation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat. We always read the account from Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, and we see what the Bible says about creation. And it's always fascinated me that so many people today really, they don't believe in the creation in the way it was, the Bible shows it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to bring out this idea of this Big Bang Theory and all that. So when I getting the chance to reread Genesis in this very first part and reading Patriarchs and Prophets, this chapter on creation, it was exciting again.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is something that the world is eaten up with, is this rejection of the creation account. And it's so sad because it robs humanity of its dignity, of our heritage, of having been created by God.
That's probably one of the most sticking, the most important part about it is that it really does rob us from that creation. I agree. I like that.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start saying, is there something that really stuck out to you as you read through this?
Well, it talks about when Adam and Eve were created, they were created in His likeness.
Yes.
To be an image of Him, to be a kind of a faint echo of what God is like. And I thought that was really, really interesting that God would love somebody so much that He would let them reflect a little bit of Him in their being. I
like that too. When I was going through the scriptures with it too, in Genesis 1:26, He does say, "Let's make man in our own image." And I think sometimes we carry that to the point that we were just like God, but we weren't just like God. Like you said, we were shadows of His image. We weren't exactly like God, but we had a lot of those principles that were given to Him.
That's right. That's right.
And it was kind of, I like in here, she says, man was to bear God's image, both outward resemblance and in character. Christ, that's an incredible thought.
Mm-hmm.
Just see, Adam and Eve from the day one, they reflect, they were like a mirror, in other words. They reflected Christ's image.
That's right. That's right.
It wasn't until that temptation, that idea that we'll talk about it in the next chapter, that we truly see that there was a difference. But until then, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also that we need to understand that that's our goal again, maybe.
That's right. That's the whole issue of what God and Christ are trying to do, is to return humanity to the way we were supposed to be all along. And we don't have to wait for Christ to come back. We can have that experience now if we take Him at His word and we understand who Christ is and what He can do with us through the Holy Spirit. We can have that experience in our daily life.
Oh, I agree.
We don't have to wait for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'd like to go back though real quick to this idea of creation versus evolution, just for a second, because in here, Mrs. White, she made a point to say there is no ground for the supposition that man was evolved by a slow degree of development from the lower forms of animals or vegetable life. And here's the part I like the most. Such teaching lowers the great work of the Creator to the level of man's narrow earthly conceptions.
Yeah.
I think that is really our as humans, that is probably one of our biggest problems. We want to put God in a box. We want to judge God based on, our perception of time or our perception of reality, when in reality, He's nothing like us, and He lives outside of that time and space that we do.
Mm-hmm.
If He didn't, He couldn't be God.
That's right. I mean, if we could put Him in the box, He wouldn't be worth worshiping.
That's true. I like that point too. You know, we were never to be on the level of God, but we were always to be a reflection of Him.
Mhm.
And I agree that we should be a reflection of Him today.
That's right.
And we can still do that. I truly believe that we can be that, but we have to want that, and we have to hold on to Jesus to allow Him to ask for His help to get us to that point.
That's right. That's right. Because we can't do it ourselves, but we can do anything
Yes.
if we have Christ.
Well, and that's what we're told. You know, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
That's right.
That's the most exciting part, is that I know I can do it as long as I let go of self and hold on to Him. Well, the other thing was that this idea of creation, you know, so we read the creation account. He creates the light, He creates the world, He creates the seas, you know, He creates the birds and the animals, and Adam's here and he's going through all of them. And what does God, He says, there's no one suited especially just for Adam though.
Mhm.
So He creates a helpmate for Adam. That's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that He let Adam kind of figure that out on his own. That,
Yes.
hey, wait a minute, you know, everybody else has got, you know, the monkeys have somebody like
Yes.
them, but they're, you know, I've been through all of these animals and none of them are like me.
Yeah.
I'm alone, you know, and you know, for that instant, Adam was like, wait a minute, this is not, you know, I'm incomplete.
No, I agree. So this is something I wrote in my little side notes here. Okay, this is why He says that man was not made to dwell in solitude. So in other words, man was not meant to be introverted.
I don't know about that.
And I say that because I know you yourself are somewhat introverted.
That doesn't
And,
mean I want to be alone all the time, though.
Well, that's true. That's true. So she makes a point to say, though, that we're not supposed to be in solitude. That we want to be we need companions.
That's right.
I think that when we're not connected with somebody in a relationship way, we kind of miss something inside of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we can't be happy apart, but I think we're happier together in a group or in a family situation.
That's right. Being accepted by others and being part of that. You know, being part of being in His image means that we also have to love like He loved.
Yes.
And part of what his whole being is that he has to love somebody.
Yeah.
And He's given that to mankind. We have to love something
Yeah.
outside of ourselves.
No, I agree. I mean, can we truly be like Christ if we don't build those relationships and bond to others around us?
That's right.
And I like to say, I'm not speaking of just, you know, husbands, spouses, and that type of relationship, intimate ones. I'm speaking of just general relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think we truly need them to even withstand until the end of times. I know we're kind of jumping a long way there, but at the same time, we need each other, especially in those rough times.
That's right.
I think that's during this time maybe that's why we're seeing so much more depression and mental problems right now during this COVID situation, is because we are isolated and we're not allowed to have that interaction that we would normally have.
That's right.
So, again, I don't know what that says about introverts, but I think that we're all supposed to be extroverted.
Well, we like people. We just like them from a distance.
I like that. I do. All right, but how about no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherished it? You know, again, it comes to that godly relationship that we need, right?
That's right.
How can we have a godly relationship if we don't understand relationships together?
That's right.
I like this. When the divine principles are recognized and obeyed in this realization, marriage is a blessing. It guards the purity and happiness of the race It provides for man's social needs and elevates the physical, intellectual, and moral nature. There is something to be said about being part of a group.
That's right. And this is talking about marriage specifically.
Yes.
You know, it talks about creating Eve for Adam. That's because mankind is incomplete if you don't have both.
Yeah, I agree.
And as individuals, we're incomplete unless we have someone.
Oh, I think so. I know sometimes we rub each other. But some of that rubbing is part of the growing too, right?
That's right.
I had a friend that says that you can't put two people in the same room and not have bump heads occasionally. But I think that's part of learning the relationship, learning the godly relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful story. The fact that as you read through, especially those first two chapters of Genesis, and understand the relationship between man and nature, and then man and God, we find that there really was no trace of any sin or any mildness like that, and then death didn't mar the earth either.
That's right.
It must have been a beautiful place to be, and that's the thing.
And what struck me was that God gave them life.
Yes.
He gave them a planet to live on, and on that planet He gave them a garden.
Yes.
The most beautiful part of all of creation, and He just gave it to them. This is yours. I made it for you, and that just shows what kind of a loving, giving God He is. That they didn't have to ask for it, work for it, or anything. He just gave it to them.
Yeah, all it was really required was what? To attend it.
Yeah, to obey Him and,
Yes.
and take care of it.
And at first, we read that this was a joyful thing for them.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve took pleasure in knowing that the work they did was God's work. They were obeying Him, they were following His laws, and because of that, they were able to see Him, they were able to walk with Him and talk to Him.
Yeah. Something that stood out to me was it talks about Adam was God's representative over the lower orders of being.
Yes.
And it talks about the animals. They don't have any understanding of God or anything like that, but they love people.
Yes.
It's like your dog, like Corbu. He's just joined to your hip, because he loves you so much. And so the animals love and served man, and then man loved and served God.
Yeah.
So there was this hierarchy,
True.
which is a dirty word these days, but it's
It is, isn't it?
it's true.
Yeah.
The love and the responsibility goes both ways.
It does. That was an interesting. It is something I was talking to Maria about too. Was that it was interesting that animals. Sometimes we think they're just dumb, stupid animals, but in reality, they have this capacity for love, and I think beyond of what we have for it, because most of our love is conditional.
Yeah.
Mark, I'll love you as long as you love me, or Maria, I'll stay faithful to you and I'll love you until death do us part, or you decide you don't want me anymore.
Yeah.
Animals don't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe they're there to teach us something about God's love,
That's right.
because no matter what I do to that dog, he still always comes back. So I do. I like that. That was one of my favorite parts of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That unconditional kind of.
Yeah.
It doesn't depend on anything except you existing.
I agree.
And that's, in a way, that should be our attitude towards God. We should love Him simply because of who He is, not because we get anything out of it.
Oh, I agree, and even our relationships with one another, I think. Like I said, we have a tendency to have that conditions.
Yeah.
Not even out of the world that we walk in. I'll be nice to you as long as you're nice to me.
Yeah.
Or something, but we're never meant to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the way we were supposed to be. That constant connection with Christ, and as long as we had that connection with Him, we too would reflect Him, and that reflection was His character of love.
Yeah.
So kind of continuation of the first chapter there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that His character is love, and always
That's
has
right.
been.
Yeah, I always think that God had to create, first of all, the angels, and then He had to create Adam and Eve, because if God is love, then He can't hold that in.
Yeah.
He's got to let that out, and He's got to create beings that can love Him back.
I agree.
He can love and that can love Him back.
And it's kind of interesting, the idea of that God didn't create us necessarily to worship Him, to give Him self-satisfaction. God created us so that He would have someone to look to.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, when we talk about that, we're a reflection of God and in His image and His character. We have that same need. And it's not so much that I need to love you or have someone love me, but I just need you, so I will have somebody to love.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right.
I liked it. Our first parents, though created a holy and no place beyond a possibility of wrongdoing, God made them free moral agents. They enjoyed the freedom of being able to choose.
That's right.
They were free to choose each other. They were free to choose, to love God, all of it.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous thing He could have done.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially since he knew the beginning from the end, right? Why would you do that?
It's amazing. But there again, if you're loved and you want to be loved,
Yeah.
then it has to be given freely.
Oh, I agree.
You can't make somebody love you.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't, if they don't have a choice, that's not love either.
Oh, I agree with you.
And that's what He wants. He wanted that relationship, that freely given.
Yeah. Well, and again, it comes back to His character. He designed us so that He would have someone to love. And, a robotic love isn't real love.
Yeah.
To say that my phone loves me,
Yeah.
well, no, I may like my phone, but it doesn't ever have any feelings towards me. Not real ones. I can program it to tell me to love me.
Yeah.
But again, it still never will.
It's just doing what it's programmed to do.
Right.
It has no choice.
I even asked Alexa the other day if she loved me, and she says, I didn't understand the question.
Yep.
So that's kind of the idea of it, of giving us free will. And it's
Yeah.
important. And the other thing that amazes me is that it never fails. This 15 to 20 minutes never lasts long enough. I'm really so excited about going through this process, going through this whole book, and going through all the Conflict of Ages programs.
Yeah.
But and I'm looking forward to going through with you, with Thomas and the rest of the group, and really sitting down with our council too here coming up on Saturday,
Yeah.
and seeing what other new lights we can bring about.
That's right. That's right. When you contemplate and take time to stop and think about the nature of God, what He's like, and from the Bible especially, when you understand what He's really like, you can't help but be drawn to Him. You just can't stay away from Him.
Oh, I agree.
And it's these books are a help too, because they explain that.
Well, I agree. So, I just want to thank everyone for being part of our walk through the ages, unedited and unscripted. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes, we'll leave it to you to decide. But I do want to thank you for being with us, Mark. Again, thank you. I really enjoyed our short time here, and I look forward to seeing where this whole experience takes us all. So, like I say, thank you, and we look forward to, just look forward to being here again. So thank you and God bless.